No hen lays 365 days a year, and I want to say that right up front because I spent 32 years on the selling side of this business, and telling you things that aren't true is not what I'm here to do. But there is a hen, the kind this country's farm women kept long before there was a feed store on the corner, that comes closer to year-round production than almost anything being sold at the hatchery right now. And she does it eating less feed than the bird you're probably running in your yard today. Now, I know what you might be thinking. You've seen these breed hack videos before. Somebody gets excited about a hen, films her in the yard, doesn't tell you what the feed bill looks like in February. I'm not here to sell you a breed. What I'm here to do is run the feed per egg math, the number the hatchery catalog never prints, and let you decide what to do with it. A feed man can't say that from behind a counter. I don't have a counter anymore. Here's the number the market doesn't talk about. Not eggs per year, not a pretty photo in the catalog, but feed consumed per egg produced. A bird that lays 260 eggs a year on 100 grams of feed a day costs you more than a bird that lays 300 on 75 grams, even if she looks better in the yard. Old farms knew this. They didn't keep a breed because it had pretty feathers or a calm disposition. They kept whatever paid. They had one name for that hen, the one that lays. Nobody has much reason to tell you this today. The hatchery makes more on a $15 rare breed chick than on a $3 leghorn. The feed store does better with a bird that eats more bags. That's not a conspiracy. That's just how the incentives work. The information has always been here. It just didn't have anybody selling it. I ran my own feed log against a breed chart when I retired. What I found is sitting in my notebook. And there's one management factor that matters more than breed choice. I'm saving that for the end. Let's start with what the backyard market actually taught you, and what it left out. The heritage breeds most backyard keepers run aren't bad birds, but the backyard market sold those birds on eggs per year, on temperament, on how they look in the yard in October. It never printed the number that actually hits your feed bill. Feed consumed per egg produced. A Buff Orpington runs 7 to 9 pounds. She's eating 100 to 120 grams of feed a day. A Leghorn-type bird runs about 4 pounds and eats 70 to 75 grams. Those two birds are not the same animal in terms of what they take from a bag. If you've been buying feed faster than you expected when you started, you've already felt this math. You just didn't have a name for it. At the mill, I sold the same 50-pound bags to the woman keeping 6 Leghorns and the woman keeping 6 Orpingtons. Those bags did not last the same number of days at either house. Neither did the egg baskets. I never said a word about it. That's the honest truth about standing behind a counter for 32 years. The honest version of the title. No hen lays 365 eggs in a year. Under near-perfect conditions, the best documented Leghorn strains can approach 320 to 330. A well-managed backyard Leghorn, protein right, calcium right, light right, will realistically land between 280 and 310 eggs a year. 300 eggs on meaningfully less feed than your heritage bird is eating right now. That's still a remarkable bird. The Leghorn is the original. Her production-type descendants, red sex-links, golden comets, ISA browns, are built on the same frame, 4 to 6 pounds at maturity. Daily intake right around 70 to 75 grams. Set that against a heavy heritage bird eating 110 grams or more, same flock size, same management, same bag. You are not getting the same return per dollar spent. She also forages harder. A lighter bird burns less energy just moving around. She's covering ground, finding protein a heavier bird doesn't bother going after. My grandfather's hens were Leghorn crosses, every one. He didn't have a name for the breed. He called them the ones that lay. Here's what I need you to hear before we go any further. A more feed-efficient breed only pays if the management pays first. Any hen needs a ration that works out to 16 to 18% protein to hold production. And calcium has to be out free choice, every day. Oyster shell in a separate container, or crushed, oven-dried, back-fed eggshell when it's done right and kept dry. Switch the breed and skip the nutrition, and you've saved nothing. Get the nutrition right first. So how did the most feed-efficient backyard layer become the bird nobody recommends? The heritage breed revival was a good thing in many ways. Breed preservation, genetic diversity, getting away from the factory model. But it was sold on beauty, story, and temperament, not on feed per egg. The catalogs got thicker. The feed bills got bigger. Nobody said those two things out loud at the same time. And the industrial egg industry runs almost entirely on white leghorns. When backyard keepers walked away from the factory model, a lot of them walked away from the leghorn right along with it. She's a factory bird. I understand the feeling, but what they were actually rejecting was the confinement system, the crowded houses, the industrial conditions. They blamed the bird for the system she was put in. A leghorn on a backyard free-range setup is a completely different animal. She was never the problem. She doesn't have a marketing budget. She doesn't have a lobby. Nobody built a business around telling her story. That's just where the incentives point. Now, the numbers. At 75 grams of feed a day, a leghorn type eats about 60 pounds in a year. A heavy heritage breed at 110 grams eats close to 88 pounds. That's 28 pounds of feed per bird, per year, from breed choice alone. Across 12 hens, that gap is more than 335 pounds, over 6 50-pound bags a year, just sitting in the difference between what two different-sized birds eat. Put a price on it. A standard 50-pound bag runs $18 to $25 in most parts of the country. At that range, 6 bags is $110 to $150 a year. From breed selection, nothing else. If you're buying the premium or organic bag at $40 and above, run it against your own receipt. I can give you the structure. You fill in your own number. The 40 to 75% feed savings I talk about on this channel comes from stacked methods, an efficient breed, active ranging, safe scraps done correctly, fodder in season, fermented feed, bulk buying when the price allows. Breed is the foundation, but it is not the whole number on its own, and I won't tell you it is. If an old feed man telling you the plain truth is worth something, hit subscribe. I put one of these out most days. And the feed cost calculator, where you type in your flock size and local bag price and see what each egg is actually costing you. That's in the playbook, linked below. Now let's get to the part that matters more than breed choice. Breed sets your ceiling. Management is what determines whether you hit it. Most people buying a 17% layer feed don't realize they may not be feeding 17%. Scratch grain runs about 10% protein, sometimes a little under. Mix it in generously and your ration can drop to 14% or lower without the bag label changing at all. I watched that combination leave the store in the same truck for 3 decades. The flocks showed it, in the baskets and in the feathers. Scratch is a treat. 10% of daily intake, maximum. Beyond that, you're diluting the ration you already paid for. Calcium is next. The laying hen knows her calcium needs better than you do. Your job is to make it available. Oyster shell, free choice, in a separate container from the feed. Put it out and let her take what she needs when she needs it. Third is light, and this is the closest thing this video has to a real secret. A laying hen needs around 16 hours of light to hold production through the dark months. Without it, her body reads short days as a signal to rest, and the basket goes quiet. A low wattage bulb on an outlet timer, set to run in the early morning hours to bring the day up to 16 hours total, and she holds production through December, when other flocks go quiet. My grandfather ran a kerosene lantern on the same principle every winter. He didn't read it anywhere. He watched his hens until he worked it out himself, and he never let that lantern go dark. Now I need to say something directly, because this is where the internet tends to get people into trouble. High production breeds are not forgiving when management slips. A heritage Orpington can absorb a rough week and keep laying at a slower rate. A hen bred to lay 300 eggs a year has far less room to absorb the same mistake. When protein drops too low in a high production layer, laying stops, not slowly, but quickly. Feather condition follows. In a confined flock, feather pecking comes after that, and it escalates fast. These are not gentle warning signs that give you time to correct course. When calcium falls short, even with oyster shell present, if it runs out or the flock is crowded away from it, you'll see thin-shelled eggs first, then soft shells. In a heavily producing hen, a sustained calcium shortfall can lead to internal laying. A bird bred to produce at that rate, fed without the nutrition to support it, is not a thriving bird. She is being worn down from the inside. Keep protein at 16 to 18%. Keep calcium out, free choice. Everything else in this system has some give. Those two do not. Here's what to do this week. 1. Pull your current feed bag and read the protein percentage. If it's under 16% on a layer feed, that is your first problem, and the fix costs nothing today. 2. Check your scratch ratio. If scratch is more than about 10% of what your birds eat in a day, pull it back. That adjustment alone can meaningfully raise your effective protein level without changing anything else. 3. Put oyster shell out, free choice, in a separate container today if it isn't there already. $3 at almost any feed store. 4. If you're adding birds this season, look at a leghorn or a red sex link before you place that hatchery order. Don't pick by the catalog photo, run feed per egg. Let the number pick the bird. Pick one of those this week. Start there. One thing, that's how a working system actually gets built. Cut that feed bill as hard as you like. That's exactly what I'm here to help you do. But keep protein around 16 to 18% and keep the calcium out, free choice, every single day. A hen you cheap out on the wrong way stops laying. And then you haven't saved a thing. You've just got a hungry hen and an empty basket. Know where the floor is. Stay above it. Most of what people actually need to keep a healthy, productive flock is simpler and cheaper than anything the feed industry had a reason to tell them. A feed-efficient bird, clean water, protein at the right level, calcium-free choice. 16 hours of light in December. That's the system. It worked before the feed store existed, and it works exactly the same way now. The only thing that changed is somebody figured out how to charge you for forgetting it. The hen that lays 365 days a year, not quite. But 300 eggs, on less feed, on a system you understand and run yourself, that's real. That's the number nobody with anything to sell you was going to lead with. That's what your great-grandmother already knew before anyone thought to print it on a bag. I'm Earl. I'm on the right side of the counter now, and I mean to stay here. Go check on your hens, count what's in the basket, and think about what it cost you to fill it. Next time, what's actually inside that bag of complete layer feed? Because that word has been working a whole lot harder for the company that printed it than it has for your birds.